Leave your comments on the Ask Reddit sub, and I'll read your answers on the next episode of LWIAR 2. There is a well-known saying that goes, always give the hardest job to the laziest person because they will find the easiest way to do it. What is the best real-life example to this you have seen? Was a temp, got hired for the day to print 30 packets with 100 pages each. Why would it take a day? I asked, our printer doesn't collate the pages, so it will take you the day to sort the pages into the 30 packets, they said. Right. It was a standard office Xerox printer. It took me all of 30 seconds to find and click the collate button. Click the staple button while at it. All got printed by itself into nice stapled packets, and I got paid to browse internet for the day. They thought I was a genius for fixing their printer and gave me glowing recommendations to the temp agency that led to more jobs. I did this once, but backwards. I was giving my first exam as a teacher and it was about 15 pages or so. Printed it up, walked into class and went to hand it out. Wait a minute, these aren't in order. Oh crap. Had to extend the class an extra 15 minutes since it took so long to get them sorted. Wait, the printer was able to staple the pages into a packet for you. Most fancy office printers can. It's just deeper into the settings than most people want to go. It's usually about 3 button clicks on mine. Really not hard to do. Even easier if you're sending from a computer. That is 2 button clicks further than most are willing to go. Hits power button, welp, it's hopeless. Yeah, some industrial printers can do this. Dad is a bookbinder and I am a former office admin, so I've seen some printers that are really cool. Do tell, what are some of the top 5 coolest? Where I work, print shop, we have a Konica Minolta printer that can corner staple, side staple, 1, 2, 3 hole punch, saddle stitch and fold, booklets, 4 different types of brochured letter fold, and do the punching for spiral bound. Edit. I think it can perforate. For bills, as well, but I don't use it much. It's not as impressive as our big digital one, but I'm not trained enough to work on that. Edit number 2, sleep deprivation means my spelling isn't so great. I'm not trained enough to work on that, must be some freaking printer. It prints printers. At my last job, a truck suspension shop, we did inventory every December and it was someone's job to count all the washers and screws of every size. It was my first inventory and I casually mentioned that they should just weigh 1 screw or washer, then weigh them all and divide a weight to get the count. Everyone looked at me like I had given them the key to the universe. Counting washers and screws went from a day or 2 to just a few hours. Ideally, you'd want to weigh 10 or 20 to account for variations in weight. Meh, screw that. Edit. Thanks for the silvers, stranger. I had an absolute B-word of a boss at a restaurant. This lady was trying to be promoted so hard and was just so extra about everything. She wanted me to count every salt packet, lid, straw, and packet of ketchup in any open boxes. Like I couldn't say 3 boxes and 3/4 of a box. I had to say 3 boxes and 872 salt packets. If I gave the numbers too quick, she'd know I lied. So I'd come up with reasonable sounding numbers and then spend 10 hours playing Pokemon. Eventually I left and went on to bigger and better things. Went by them all years later, an extra B-word was still there in the same job, lol. No wonder she never got promoted. She has no sense of economics. No one cares if you got 600 or 800 small salt packs, as they don't cost much. 10 hours of paying an employee, on the other hand, costs a lot. She shouldn't be in charge of anyone. You're forgetting corenomics, the economic net positive value derived from watching soon-to-be successful kids suffer. Jumping over $1 to pick up a nickel. I swear to God, I saw a post on Reddit not too long ago about people who worked in a coffee shop, where someone mixed the roasted and unroasted beans by accident and had to spend their entire shift manually unsorting the beans by hand. Jobs like these seem like the kind of thing that parents would punish a misbehaving child with. Who the frick stays to get paid $7 per hour to count, sort beans? That's got to be a special skill. Edit. Rip my inbox because beans lol. A bean counter. I read a comment on here a while back about a college kid who picked up an office job over one summer. He became friends with an older lady at the front desk who always needed help figuring out Excel. He kept finding shortcuts for her, and eventually wrote scripts for her that took a load of work off her plate. By the end of the summer he had made her job so easy that they decided they didn't need her to do it anymore. They fired her. I was in a similar situation. Although no one got fired, thankfully. I inherited a job where the last person spent half their time manually typing numbers into Excel. I turned a bunch of 5-hour jobs into 5-minute jobs and made the job really easy. I was only in a 1-year assignment and spent a lot of it automating everything and got a promotion afterwards, so it all worked out. Still though, using technology right can get rid of a lot of jobs. I work in corporate finance, and we can do the same stuff with a team of 4 that 20 people were doing 30 years ago. Nah, 4 people can't scratch 40 balls for 2 hours and drink 80 cups of coffee per day. Things they don't teach you in college. 1 minute you're trying to be helpful and the next minute you're responsible for someone's grandma going on unemployment LMAO. He's not responsible for what happened to her. Her boss is. Punch up, not down. Me too. At work I had a guy ask me to automate the one fairly useless thing he did. Since it was on a conference call, I was careful not to point that out. I responded with, think about what you're asking, and let me know if you really want that. I waited silently for 2 or 3 seconds because he was a slow thinker. But I imagined I heard a click as the gears finally aligned and he suddenly decided that the script he asked for would not be needed after all. First rule: never share your macros, and never let people know that you use macros. Edit. Holy crap guys, thanks for the goal. I definitely make sure to keep mine structured in such a way that they'd likely be useless once I'm gone, unless I intentionally explained the moving parts. As long as you're the only one who can operate your robot, you're good even if it's doing most of the work. The script can only be run during minutes that are opposite the odd or evenness of the date, or it formats a hard drive. This really sounds like a line from some fricked up IT version of Dwight Schrute. OMG, that happened at my work. Dude's only job was to get this report together and present it for a weekly meeting because the boss hated that meeting and the people at this meeting. Anyway, dude was so lazy and drove us nuts asking for stuff for his report till me and another script jockey systems guy automated the whole thing for the person. I mean, all he ended up having to do is grab the report and attend one meeting. Once the meeting was eliminated, they realized he was good for nothing else and laid him off first thing in the next round. Look, I already told you. I deal with the goddamn customers so the engineers don't have to. I have people skills. I am good at dealing with people. Can't you understand that? What the hell is wrong with you people? Yeah, I'm reading all these things about how they made a job 1,000 times easier, and every time I'm just thinking, so they're going to fire the person whose main job was to do that. It's a job creator for robots. Robots in 2050 be like, ugh, even entry-level automation jobs require 80,085 certification and 5 years experience with the neural net. They generally don't fire people they like. They first try to repurpose people since they gave company knowledge and that's expensive to gain. They all get rid of people that don't get along, or refuse to change or learn. Then again, sometimes it does happen. I used to do the work of 2. The job of me and more. They gave the sack to Jill and Jack. I do the work of 4. I do the work of Jack and Jill but train new team of 4. I'm paid to teach. I'm obsolete, I do the work no more. I work in a semi-warehouse environment and we have to track where items are at all times. When we move X item from location A to location B, we have to type out the to and from locations. We do this hundreds of times a shift. I went online to a free barcode maker website and spent about 20 minutes making location barcodes. I save hours a day by scanning barcodes. I did something like that when I worked at a movie rental store. The computers made you sign back in after something like 15 seconds of inactivity. It was so unproductive. After a week or 2 at the job, I bought some stickers and printed barcodes onto the back of my ID badge. One barcode had my ID, the other had my password. I could scan them both in a second or 2. I avoided telling my boss cause I didn't want to get in trouble. But eventually he found out. And when he did, he had me print barcodes for everyone. Just thinking about that computer system makes me mad. And it's been over a decade. Doesn't that mean you already had an existing database that handled it? I think that involves a lot more than just printing barcodes. I just made barcodes that represented what I had to type out by hand. I clicked in the appropriate text input box on my inventory program and scanned the barcode to fill the info in. I hope that clarified it some. Might also point out most barcode readers are seen by the computer as a keyboard, and the scanner just types the barcode contents. That's how you keep your warehouse from becoming a warehouse. But be careful when it's a full moon, then it becomes a warehouse. Be careful of prostitutes, then it becomes a whorehouse. Or communists, then it becomes our house. And after a nice meditation session it becomes a warehouse. Herding yak with a drone takes the cake for me. They run from it, and oddly fear it, which is surprising considering they have literally zero aerial predators. We only did it a few times because it really makes them uneasy, and doesn't treat them well. But it is very effective and easy, and you can herd them from over 1/2 mile away from inside the house. Edit. I'm really surprised how much this blew up. I've never had so many post replies, but I'll try to get around to answering as many questions as possible. My post history is predominantly yakking off and tower climbing stuff, so I'd suggest going there if you're curious. This is one of the most incredible paragraphs I've ever read and I'm very much interested in hearing more about yak herding. Sounds like they'll just drone on about it. I'm sick of hearing about fake news. My bet would be the noise is what scares them. I've heard a similar thing about horses, that the drone buzzing sounds similar to a swarm of bees. And they really hate bees. Elephants are also terrified of bees. They're being used to stop them going onto farmers' lands. And pigs. They don't like pigs, especially if they're on fire. I was okay up to now. I've definitely missed something. Elephants are scared of bees. Elephants are scared of flaming pigs and maybe normal pigs. I used to deliver beer. I did not like delivering beer. I may have ended up with 30 stops in a day, including deliveries that the customer would call in to our office for. I used to bring extra beer and blank invoices with me on the truck, to prevent having to drive back to my warehouse to deliver one keg to a place that I was currently across the street from. 7 years later, the driver of that route is still doing that. You're wise beyond your beers. Bud driver, but wiser. Automated 70% of my job in a large finance firm as an intern. Never disclosed it and got paid easy money for 6 months. I spent the time doing courses and applying for my grad school. Got my admission letter during the final 2 weeks of my internship and never looked back. Pro tip: Python and Excel can be your best friend. Obligatory edit. I went to sleep and this thread blew up. Thank you for your stories, questions and comments. I'm trying to get to as many as possible. See where you differed is you were smart enough to use that free time for something valuable. I'd be using it for something dumb, like posting on Reddit. Knowing how to code can really be your friend. In one college engineering course, the final consisted of solving a problem that required a number of repetitive calculations that provided ample opportunity for input error. Since we had a really long time to take the test, I pushed my test aside and wrote a program for my HP 48 to do the calculations. I scored high enough to raise my final grade to an A. I okayed it with the professor, though he did ask me to turn in my source code. That's where I went wrong. I made my tools available to my team. Saves everyone on the team multiple hours a day. So there was slack in the schedule. Then I lost my job in a restructure because I was the most expensive person on the team. Yeah, pretty much the reason I never made that knowledge public. I live with the same motto on my current job. I have tools that I've created to ease my day. Not sharing it unless I'm legally forced to. Keep those raises coming, boss. Saving you all this cost even though people forecasts are high. I did the same once. Ended up hating myself. Just spending all day watching my stacks of computers run test batteries. Planned it all out. Got a room with a door that no one wanted. Dug up old shelving units and with spanner, rope, and lots of work built them up again. Budgeted out 6 computers and networked them to the same SAN. By hand soldered and braided the test and chambers. Wrote all the testing framework code and bug reporting software. Months of 14-hour days. Would come in every morning, sip my coffee with my hangover and read the reports generated the night before. Alter the run scripts slightly. Day was over in 30 minutes. Would spend the rest of the time studying. Eventually fell into depression and took a real job. People underestimate how depressing it is to have nothing to do at work. It's fun for a while, but after that the boredom kicks in and there's a limited range of things you can do to alleviate it. Oh damn. Sorry man, but you did create something great. So what happened to your setup once you decided to quit? My last week there I trained my replacement and his attitude was basically that he planned to use what I had as a starting place but make it so much better. I liked him. Nice to meet someone honest in a corporation. I imagine he kept the hardware and some of the basic software tools I had put together like the drivers, network config, Perl scripts, the VM running CentOS running the version control etc. And throughout the way I was handling the script parsing, which I had never been happy with. A fairly common way to handle this stuff is making it so tests can be written in near English by non-programmers, separating DUT from monitor from recipes from driver. Did similar in a smaller firm. Got a 50% raise when my boss found out and he asked me to automate other work. You hacked the system. It literally changed my career trajectory and I am entirely a software developer now. That's awesome. Congratulations. He got a 50% raise because automating other work allowed him to let go of people. We should probably get rid of tractors, so we could employ tens of millions in farming again, said no one ever. Boss hated Excel to the point where he didn't want us using formulas because you can't trust them to be right, so we needed to do all the calculations by hand or on a calculator. He would give me a spreadsheet once or twice a week that required, let's say, 45 seconds to do, but maybe 7 hours by hand, and he told me to go to Starbucks or something and crank it out. He thought that since I pasted as values and he couldn't see the formulas that I did it by hand when really I just did it in 45 seconds. Sent an email on delay for 7 hours. And studied for the next semester. Dude was the poster boy for failing upwards in your career. First day of internship he told me with a straight face he was a work harder not smarter kinda guy. Go to Starbucks or something and crank it out. I was going to say how pissed I'd be. But if he lets you actually leave, I would just enjoy my free day off. He didn't want us using formulas because you can't trust them to be right. Do all their calculations by hand or on a calculator. This is the most asinine thing I've read today. Did you work for Dunder Mifflin or something? I am more dedicated to my job than Jim is. I can spend all day on a project while he would do it in half an hour. Edit. Here's to another year of memes. My friend who'd take his baby's clothes off when he fed him. Next level brilliant. Spray the kid off after. My mother made us wear turtleneck sweaters at my uncle's wedding reception on top of our fancy wedding clothes. When dinner was over we peeled off the sweaters and all were clean underneath. That's just going to produce an adult who only really likes how food tastes when he's naked. Pavlov. Good plan. Until that baby starts preschool and proceeds to strip off his clothes every day before lunch. Well, hopefully the baby can eat without ending up covered in food by then. Clearly you've never met a 5-year-old. Or my husband. So many questions. It's gotta suck being married to someone that young. Don't people stare? Is he even old enough to help out with the housework? Almost nobody would employ him. So how does he make money? Thanks for watching LWIAR 2. The best of all time r/AskReddit submissions and comments. If you like this video, check out the original LWIAR channel. And don't forget to like and subscribe.